No, I just look like I'm
inside the womb a little bit.
Right, here you go. I think this is good. Yeah, we got the setup done. Took us a while.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's the first lesson that we can teach people.
Exactly.
Potentially have to do very rough. Rough podcast.
Yeah, this is bootstrap at its finest.
Yeah. We're inside
an orangery. What is an orangery?
I don't actually think there's any oranges in here, which is a bit of a missell of the name. I don't know. I think it's just a garden.
Yeah. Don't know.
But why is it only called an orangery?
Why an orangery?
Well, we'll soon see. Why don't you tell people why we started the podcast?
Well, why did we start the podcast? We've talked about doing something for a long time together. And we spend a lot of time together. And we always come and we're like, oh, I found this really cool thing. Or I've done this really cool thing. And then we teach each other that cool thing that we've just learned. And we were like, well, other people want to know this as well.
Well, we think other people want to know.
Well, when we've
just such an interesting conversation with other people, like, we'll see.
Yeah, people might not find it interesting.
To be fair, I think it's useful at least.
Yeah.
And one thing I think you're particularly good at is just being like, I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah. I like figuring it out and then moving on.
Yeah.
But if we can share that, you got that little gap. Mm-hmm. And I think you're very similar as well. Like,
yes, you have
maybe you're
slightly more patient.
Yeah,
than
I was literally about to say that.
But yeah, I like figuring it out. There must be a way to do this.
Yeah.
Like, other people are doing it, we must be able to figure this out.
Yeah.
And I think now with like AI and just like the way technology is now, it's like you can actually figure this stuff out yourself.
Yeah.
And once you know how to do it once, I'm a really big proponent of this with like the coaches on AFM. Like, don't outsource everything immediately. Like, outsource it once you know how to do it. But something is going to go wrong, and you need to know how to fix it. You don't want to be waiting for your web guy to come back from holiday 2 weeks later. This changes, that changes. It's like, no. If something's not working, you need to know how to fix it.
Yeah. Then
you can outsource that stuff, right? And the majority of the time, maybe somebody else does that. But I like to know what's going on in my business. Like, I like to know how stuff works.
Yeah. And like, gone are the days of, as you said, outsourcing everything. Now, like, I've been deep diving into AI quite a lot. And like the basics of it. Like, how you can use it in your business. But, like, some of the stuff, you can literally just ask it in plain English now. Like, because I'm not techie. Like, neither of us are really technical. Yeah, but we spent a long time trying to set this up.
Anyone can see the background, yeah. But that's the point. It's like, you don't need to be.
You don't need to be. You can speak English to a computer and it will spit out the techie side and then give it back to you in English. And that's the beauty of it. It's so easy now. But we're not just going to talk about like that stuff. It's like books and like we read a lot. Yeah. And like you can dive into that bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think more just like generally the conversations that we have, both of us backgrounds is like kind of some kind of entrepreneurial, starting businesses, changing our minds on things, failing forward, trying new things. And I think like that and what you learn from it and the mindset that you get from it and surrounding yourself with other people that are on that same kind of journey and sharing what other people know, like I think that's so valuable. So that's a lot of what we're going to share. And then like what I think from each episode, you might either get like, I think I should get, I don't know, like some kind of gadget, or maybe I could start a WordPress site in one day, or maybe I should read that book or whatever. Like, great example of this is last weekend, sat down next to Jordan. He was like, "Have you ever seen this guy on Twitter?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "Well, you follow him?" And I was like, he's like, "Well, he's recommended all these books, but I don't think he's monetizing it. I wonder how quickly you could just like create a website where you've got affiliate links to these examples, and then you're just like monetizing it. He's got a huge following. Like, why not do that? Like, per book, you're probably making 50p, but when you look at the volume that people are getting, it's like, okay, that starts to add up. That took you what, like a day?
Yeah.
And then that night you were like, here, check this. And I was like, oh, fucking hell. And it's like a website with all the books that Elon Musk has said that he read and got a lot from, and all these other books. And like, you're looking at like founders or people that people look up to, and it's like, okay, well, these are the top 3 books that they recommend that changed their life. Here's a link to them on Amazon. Don't have to use that link. You can use whatever you want, but you're going to get a little kickback for that. It's stuff like that. It's like you have to move fast in business, and I think that's where knowing how to do it yourself. Because someone else would have looked at that and been like, maybe I should write a business model and then try and find someone on Fiverr who can create this, but not really be able to articulate what I want because I haven't fully figured it out in my head. And the only way that I'd actually figure it out in my head is to try and do it. Realize the loophole, realize like the barriers that I've come across, realize I need to do it in a slightly different way, realize this is going to work and this isn't going to work, and then come up with a product. Not like you would never got that done if you tried to outsource it. Like you need to learn by doing it, right?
Yeah, and like it's scrappy at the start. Like it looks decent on the front cover, but like all I did was spent like probably a day or 2 learning about AI and learning, I could actually build a web app. I didn't even know what that was. I still don't really know what it is. Let's just say a website.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what that is. And I could build that by me writing down into our AI website like exactly what I wanted. I want to find out what entrepreneurs what their top recommended books are, and I want to build a website on this. And it spits out. I need to do quite a lot of faffing with it, but like that's what I wanted. And the cool thing was that I learnt all these books, and now we've been reading some of the books, which has been really cool because it's just for my knowledge. I wanted to know what books these entrepreneurs read, and a lot of other people, I think, hopefully, want to find out what other books.
Yeah.
So,
and then I think just the concept of that as well, like the whole minimal viable products, right?
Yeah.
Instead of like what I was talking about before, of like investing time and money into finding someone else to develop this website that you don't know how to edit, that if something was wrong you couldn't do, and then you put all this effort into it and then it bombs. It's like, if that doesn't work, it's like, cool, I learned something and I move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Or I learned something and it might not go the way that I wanted, but I move on to the next thing. And the thing I see with so many coaches on AFM is like, I've got this idea for a program. I've made it all. I've filmed, this many videos for it. I filmed all the workouts. And then it's like, and nobody wants it.
Yeah.
And that's heartbreaking because you put so much into it, right? Actually, the best thing to do is to tease it a little bit and then be like, oh, people want this, or oh, people don't. Right, like, and kind of what you've done. Yeah, you put a bit of effort into it, and if it builds some traction, then you put some more effort into it. But if it doesn't, then you kind of move on to the next thing, where you tweak it because it's not quite hitting right for people. That's what people need to be doing. Not, I'm going to build this incredible vision that I have and perfect it, and then release it, and everyone's like, no interest, babe.
Yeah, I think the overarching theme though is kind of just keeping up with the times.
With the Kardashians. With the Joma.
With the Joma. Keeping up with the Joma.
Keeping up with
we should have called it that.
Well, we haven't named it yet, so if anyone wants to know, an orangery.
Oh, you found it?
A protected place, and especially a greenhouse for growing oranges in cool climates. Now, I have to share with people it's not particularly cool in here.
It's not. I'm verging on sweating.
Okay. Just one more thing that a lot of people have asked. What is an orangery and what's the difference? An orangery is a home extension with a glass roof typically covering less than 75% of the overall roof area and glass walls covering less than 50%. Okay, quite boring. But slightly different than greenhouse.
Oh.
No.
Cool.
There you go. Okay, so for today's episode, let me get my notes up.
I've got my notes up.
All right, why don't you start with... What are we going to start with?
We were going to go
life hacks.
2 life hacks to kick it off.
Go on then.
So, for context, neither of us have seen each other's notes on this. One of them might be the same. I don't know. But I've written down...
You can't steal it because I told you it.
Is that one of your life hacks?
Might be.
But we can discuss it then. We can share it. So, actually, it comes back to the books. One of the common themes was a lot of entrepreneurs read this what was the bit called? Hard Things About Hard Things.
Yeah, the hard thing about hard things.
The Hard Thing About Hard Things. So I was like, oh wow, I'm going to get that. So I went on Audible and I used one of my credits. And literally, it must have been 1 minute later, I was like, oh, have you read this book? I said to you. And you were like, no, but I'll get it. And you opened Spotify. And I've got a Spotify subscription as well. And it was there. And I was like, you joking? I paid.
Just use mine.
For anyone listening, like, Audible credits are valuable.
Yeah. Also, I thought I was being well smart because, like, heavily being dyslexic, I genuinely only realised, like, 5 years ago that I could actually ingest books, right?
Yeah.
I've never really been able to, like, sit down and read books, so became obsessed with Audible. So I have, like, the highest subscription. I just pay it yearly, so it's cheap, like, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to use them all anyway. So now I just have this, like, insane amount of credits that I'm never going to use because you can literally get it. It's not every single book, but, like, it's most books you can get on Spotify if you pay whatever it is, like £11 a month for Spotify.
Yeah.
It's on Spotify Premium. Yeah.
That is such a good life hack. And I've searched for maybe like 4 or 5 and they're all on Spotify. So yeah, I think I'm going to be cancelling my Audible and just using Spotify.
Wow. What's that?
So-
It's going to save you a lot.
I know, I've got you to thank for that.
You're very welcome. I'm glad I've had that positive impact on your life. Yeah.
Right, was that one of yours?
One of them.
I thought I went first.
Life, is this going to be different than, like, things for under £100?
Yeah. It doesn't have to be. We can mix it up.
Okay, so one of my things to buy for under £100 was an electric toothbrush.
Okay. That was
I just think that's quite life-changing.
yeah, because we talked about it yesterday.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it because I already had it in my head to go down for it. And this is what shocks me, right? I was looking on Amazon at these. Some of them are £700 for a toothbrush.
What?
Like, there's like the top of the range Oral-B.
Seven? What does it do?
I don't know. I think it does have this like squirty thing that is like a flosser, like a squirty flosser. But that's a lot of money. Now mine was £25, so I'll link it in the show notes. But yeah, I just think when you go back to normal brushing, you're just like, what was I doing?
See, I've gone from manual to electric back to manual.
Why did you go back to manual?
Because I couldn't bother charging it.
Yeah, I see that problem.
It's the
USB,
plug.
Mine's a USB charger. Maybe that's the life hack.
Yeah, that's
integrated.
There you go. Yeah, because the plug's really... Why are...
I think it's something to do with the voltage, In a bathroom, it's like you don't want like a full electric current in a bathroom. That's why they've got those 2 weird little plugs.
Oh, maybe.
You could actually be completely wrong about that.
Yeah.
It is quite unique to a bathroom situation.
Huh.
Yeah.
There you go. Right. That was our other category. So we had life hacks, and then we had what were 2 things that you bought recently that changed your life that were under £100.
Mm-hmm.
I'm keeping with the bathroom theme.
Okay.
You're not going to be able to relate to this at all.
It's a shaver.
It's a baldy head shaver.
Is it the one that you use that like has like 3 balls in it and then you just...
But this one's got 6. I know. But it's changed. Like before I had just like a normal electric shaver, you just go
Yeah.
But this one, and it took quite a long time because you were just like that. But this one, you just like grab it like that, and then you just go, and then you're done. Takes like.
Have you ever shaved your head with a? Because that's terrifying. Like, and also I think if you cut your head, it bleeds loads, doesn't it?
But the good thing about your head, like the skin's so tight
yeah.
that it's actually quite easy.
Yeah,
and
that's because you've not got that weird like fat roll at the back of your head. To some people, that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, that would be like the Himalayas going over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not
cutting myself. Okay, fine. And also great cost per use.
So, having no hair, I saved so much money. So that
You
was...
calculated how much shampoo was costing you.
Yeah, I did. I can't remember what it was now. But a haircut was like, what, 20 quid every 6 weeks, maybe? And my shaver was 35 quid. And it does me for probably lasts about a year. And then I need to get a new
Yeah,
one.
but didn't you say you used to have a really close relationship with your hairdresser?
Yeah, I did.
You're missing out on that.
Yeah, I know. I miss the chats.
Yeah. And that did make me think, right, like, getting your haircut as a female, obviously, I don't often go myself, right? But if you get, like, a cut and colour, like, I'm pretty sure Zoe spends, like, £500, like, maybe, like, £600 on a haircut. Wild. But, and actually think she goes quite often, but if you were, like, a normal person who doesn't spend that much, right? That's actually probably normal for most women. But you'd only be doing it, like, I don't know, every 3 months or something.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, men have to get their hair cut every, what did you say, 6 weeks?
Yeah. Well, some will be
More than that.
like 3 weeks.
And then it's like, yes, it's only 20 quid every 3 weeks, but when you add it up...
It probably adds up to roughly the same.
Yeah.
It's expensive having hair. Don't do
it.
it.
It does make you question whether it's actually worth it.
Right.
Do you want my next life hack?
I want your next life hack.
Okay, it's to stick to something for 30 days.
Ooh, this is a life hack.
This is a real life hack. I just think most people give up on stuff too quickly and assume it's not working too quickly.
Yeah.
And to commit to sticking to something for 30 days before you expect any result from it. Now, obviously, I want fat loss first, right? Like, so whether that is like fat loss, building muscle, whatever, but it could also be like doing a podcast, putting out content, writing a Substack, then I don't know, like journaling, any kind of like self-development or something that you're putting out. Don't just assume that because you've mentioned it once and it's not had traction, it's not working. Like, most of the time, especially in your marketing, in fact, in your marketing, in your results, from like physical results, in your mental results, how you feel now, how you look now, how you perform now, how your marketing is doing now is usually the fruition of what you started doing 30 days ago. It's not just like, oh, I started posting this and then the next day this happened. It's like, the reason that people are interested now is because they've heard you for 30 days, you've got in their head, you've been giving them quality information, and now the fruition of that result is coming. And most people just look for that like immediate result. And that's what stops most people. And then to add on top of that, like, make it fun.
Yeah.
You know? Like, same with this, like, it almost doesn't, I'm not looking for any return on this.
Yeah.
And if the first one bombs, I don't even care. Like, I'm like, let's do it because it's fun. And as a byproduct, hey, maybe at some point it does take off. But it almost like it doesn't matter because you've taken the pressure off it.
Yeah. So the fun element is crucial in it. And it's like not taking, what I've learned is like not taking stuff like really seriously. Like, people want a lot of fun in the content that they consume. So if you're putting out really serious stuff, a lot of people don't want that. They want like the fun element in there as well. What was I going to say? I was going to say, surely it comes back to like building a habit as well of 30 days. Because there was something in Atomic Habits.
Yeah, I think that research is a bit like, I think everyone's so different. I don't know how you felt about like habit forming yourself, but you know that there's like a bit of research that's like it takes 90 days to build a habit, and then other stuff says like 30 days, and other stuff says like whatever, and it completely depends on what the habit is, right?
Yeah,
like,
true.
Some habits are pretty easy to form, and some habits are going to be really hard. And on the individual, like, everyone's completely different.
Yeah.
And how you're like stacking that within your life, you know, it could be quite easy to create the habit of, I don't know, doing a morning routine. But for some people, that might be really hard, especially if they've got kids or their morning routine that's different because they're traveling all the time, and so they've got like more things going on. I don't know.
So like, true. It's like well, I can relate it to steps. Like, because I don't have any other really responsibilities, I can get my steps in, and I can, like, I think I'm averaging like 16,000 this week. But it's because I don't have other responsibilities. Where like some of my friends have kids, they have families, and no way they're gonna manage like to be consistent with that. I shouldn't have said no way, but it's a lot harder for them.
Yeah, and I think part of that's not just like they still have the ability to do it 100%, but it's much easier for you to create a routine.
Yeah,
because you have less random things on your time. Like if you've got kids, it's like, oh, I was going to go out for a walk, but hey, now they've just shut themselves. Like, great, I need to go and sort that out first, and then it's like you miss your walk time. Whereas there's, and still stuff happens, right? Like you run businesses, like there's always people shitting themselves in various contexts, right? So you might be like this morning, I was like, oh great, I've got loads of time to actually start working on my presentation for IFS, which is next week. And then actually none of the check-ins went out for some reason, so I had to figure out that, and that took up that whole piece of time. Like, you can plan as much as you can plan, but then you also have to be a bit like flexible and resilient and be like, right, okay, I need to get this done, so that's going to have to move. Yeah. So that's mine.
That's a good one. Now you make it.
Now
yours is so well. That was like a lot more life. What?
Helpful.
Helpful, yeah. Mine's not helpful, but it kind of is at the same time. So, wait, are we going life hacks or bought under 100? I'm gonna go for life hacks, and it comes back to what we were talking about at the start. And I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I think it's really important to, now we're in the age of like AI and stuff like that. I think it's really important to learn a little bit about it, because it's honestly made me so much more productive, and the people that I see using it so much more productive, and the people that aren't using it are just falling behind a little bit. Like, for example, remember when we were walking down the Thames, you asked, we were coming up to a bridge, and you asked, oh, what are those sculptures on the bridge? And I just whipped out my phone and I went on ChatGPT, took a photo of the bridge, and I was like, who are these sculptures on the bridge? And it knew exactly what the bridge was.
It's out, by the way, guys. Nobody. Like, the sculptures were of nobody. It was a bit of a...
It was a letdown.
It was a bit of a letdown.
They were representing different... What were they,
I don't know, it was so boring, I can't remember.
Yeah,
it was like poetry and stuff I have no concept of.
We wanted names and people, and then it just spat.
Like Athena.
Yeah.
Goddess of wisdom. Is that right?
I don't know.
So I screenshot this. I don't know if I ever sent you it, but it says the only skill that will be important in the 21st century is the skill of learning new skills. Everything else will become obsolete over time.
Learn to learn.
Learn to learn.
Totally agree. And just...
Yeah, and I guess that point is like embrace it.
Yeah, embrace it rather than shying away from it. Like, you don't have to be a tech whiz to know these things or just know the basics of it. I'm not. But I spent just a couple hours seeing what this is and how can I implement it in my business and how can I implement it in my life. And honestly, it takes out so much of the friction. The one example I use is when we used to search for something, like, give me something. What is an orangery?
Yeah, I would have got a better answer from ChatGPT.
Yeah. So actually, let's use the one. We were in the gym. This is a great one. We were in the gym together, and the Olympics was on. And one of the commentators, who did you think it was?
Is it the word reportage? I still don't know what that is. I was like, what is it?
No, one of the commentators.
Oh, Cox or something.
Sue Barker.
Sue Barker, yeah.
Yeah.
And who was
it? It was not Sue.
I was like, where's Sue Barker gone?
Not Sue Barker.
It wasn't. It was like...
Anyway, that's
not completely different.
It was completely different. Didn't look like Sue Barker either.
Well, debatable, right?
But if you wanted to know who that was, you'd usually have to go into Google, type in who are the Olympics commentators. Then you'd get some like articles that are like by the Sun or newspapers. Click on them, sift through a load of adverts.
And they're like, oh, it's Michael Johnson. You're like,
yeah. And
definitely not. It's a blonde woman.
and get like 3/4 of the page down. And then they give you the answer. There's so much friction in that. Whereas I could just jump on, or you could just jump on ChatGPT, say, who are the Olympic commentators, and it just lists them.
Do you know, I think it was like Heather someone. I don't know, it was a completely different woman, wasn't it?
Do you want me to...
Sue Baker. Is that what? Who's the horse lady that normally does the commentary on the horses? Or the swimming?
Which one?
She's got short blonde hair as well.
Oh,
because I was thinking of the woman who does Wimbledon, wasn't I?
Who is the commentator for
Wimbledon. I mean, that's a lot of people, isn't it? What does it say?
The first one that came up was a former professional tennis player, a long-time lead presenter for BBC's Wimbledon coverage, retired in 2022.
Helpful.
Guess who it is? Guess who it is?
Henman.
No, Sue Barker.
What? She was a tennis player?
Yeah, apparently. But the one you're thinking of is Claire Balding.
Yeah. Yeah, they look quite different if anyone wants to have a little comparison there. What was the point of that?
Let's learn a little bit about
AI.
new things.
Yeah.
It's not just AI in general, it's just new technologies that are happening that you think could benefit you.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just fun as well. I don't know, tell me. I think when we were on our way to Robben Island, one of the guys was like...
On our way to what?
Robben Island. Is that the right thing?
Wait, are you saying Robin Island or Robin Island?
Wait, what's the one where Nelson Mandela was? Wait, why did I need to leave? Basically, we're on our way somewhere. No, this could make no sense. But I think I was like, tell me 5 things about wherever we were going, as if I'm a 10-year-old going on a school trip.
Okay.
And then it's like 5 easy things.
Okay,
You can like learn stuff like that. Anyway, but then also you need to remember that we're a bit geeky and we like facts.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Oh, here, right, I stand corrected. You're...
Robben Island off Cape Town, right?
Yeah, Robin Island.
I went to Robben Island! Do you know what? I spent my whole way on the way to Robben Island with because I was like, oh, this is nice. And then I do remember being on a similar boat with Amelia on the way back from this. Did you ever go in Mexico over to Cozumel?
Yeah.
Did you get on that boat?
Yeah.
Oh,
awful.
I was like, just don't be sick. And I had my eyes shut the whole time. Like, Amelia and I were just holding hands. And then Adele started playing.
Adele?
Yeah.
Oh, so we had...
Oh, did you have a guy?
Yeah, no, we had people singing on it because...
You needed distraction from the, house.
Here, this is the cool thing. We should totally go into this now we've gone this way. Tell the story, because that's an example of the good marketer that changed the train.
Oh, yeah. So you probably don't want a quicker trip to Cozumel. You actually want a longer trip that you don't get there feeling like shit.
Yeah, you want to enjoy it a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah. So that story was Rory Sutherland. He uses this quite a lot, and I think it was they were trying to make the trains. I think it might have been the trains from Manchester to London much quicker, and they were like, right, if we needed to increase this by 30 minutes, it's going to cost us X million pounds to updo this, blah blah blah. And then he was like, do you think people actually, they say they want a quicker train journey, but is what they actually want a nicer train journey? And then he did the same as well with the queues at Heathrow. It was like, right, well, if we want to, get people through Heathrow like an hour quicker, then we would need to spend millions on infrastructure. And then he's like, okay, well, give me 1% of that. And then let me just put in something that will tell you how long it's going to take.
Mm-hmm.
And then he always makes it 5 minutes longer than it is, right? So same with when your Uber's coming, it's like you actually don't mind waiting for a taxi. You just don't want to be sat by the door is it going to come now? Is it going to come in 10 minutes? So I have time to eat something? Can I quickly have a shower? You're like, oh, it's coming in 15 minutes. Great, now I have 15 minutes. It's not the length of time, it's knowing how long you're going to have. So I love that kind of like
So
cognitive,
cool.
like, oh
When you
god,
showed
you're
me
so
that.
right. And normally people get so fixated in marketing of like, well, ask people what they want, and they're like, I want it faster. And it's like, a lot of people don't know what they want. Actually, if it could just be nicer, like I don't mind being on a 5-hour flight to Dubai in first class.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But would I want to be on a 5-hour flight in economy with screaming babies? No, it's not. It's not the. And if you ask me if I'd just been in economy, would I want it quicker? I'd be like, yeah, I'd rather that was only 3 hours. So if you asked me if I'd just been in first class, I'd be like, no, it was all right. I stayed an extra hour.
So good. I loved that when you told me that.
So clever.
And actually, one of my favourite quotes is by Henry Ford, who's the entrepreneur that created Ford Motors. And he said back in the day, if I'd asked people what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
It
Because
tunes in with that.
Yeah, you don't know. There is a Japanese legend that says, if you get on the wrong train, get off at the nearest station. The longer it takes you to get off, the more expensive the return trip will be.
Yes.
Namaste.
Did you add that namaste, or was that?
No, I added that myself. Okay. Give me one more thing that you would buy.
Oh, thing that I'd buy. So, I've also gone a bit like, this is more of like a life hack as well, and I carry around with me everywhere
a huge backpack. So do I.
What are you going to say? We've got matching backpacks.
Oh yeah.
No, that's not what the thing is. Emergency diluting juice. So
what, the little squeezy thing?
Yeah. Have you ever seen that?
I did that.
The Robinsons little squeezy things, because I don't drink water at all. And unless
I think that might be.
Well, I drink water if it's got diluting juice in it.
Yeah.
Or squash, people would say. People are going to hate.
Oh yeah, it's
that's going to be
diluting juice.
That's going to be controversial.
Squash.
Did I say squash?
Diluting juice does make sense. As an English person, I will say that. You are diluting the juice.
Yeah. Wait, what are you doing? Squashing the juice?
Squash
doesn't
makes
make
no
sense.
No.
Yeah.
Or cordial. Come on.
Yeah. Americans.
Get off your
that's my life hack, and things that I buy under £100.
Very hydrating.
Because I drink so much more when I've got diluting juice in there as well, and it always comes in handy.
I like that. Okay, mine is a pull-up bar, and I think that is the best like cost per use thing I've ever bought. I've had that pull-up bar for like 13 years. Use it every single morning.
Yeah.
Not in my flat now, which has no doors. But I now have a gym in the apartment, so you don't really need it. But I will say
that's a great one.
Yeah, that's like a great cost per use. And then what else did I have here? Okay, I've got one last life hack.
Okay, I don't have any more.
The Notes app.
Oh.
I think everyone has incredible ideas that they don't write.
Or, just to jump in there, they've got incredible ideas that they have written
on a piece of paper that they forgot about.
Or in their Notes app that they have forgotten about. Because I've got... How many notes have you got? Oh.
You're not going to beat me on that.
Oh?
This is my biggest flex in life. Are you ready?
Yeah, go.
14,483. I literally write down everything that crosses my mind. Like,
oh, wow.
Everything. And it's all in, like, folders. Like, that's, like, my brain. I think especially, now, I kind of don't like using this, but, like, especially if you have ADHD, right, and you forget stuff really quickly, you need to have it written down.
Yeah.
Like, you can't, and also, sorry, but you can't run 5 businesses without having good notes. Like, just ideas for different things. Otherwise, you have conversations, you have ideas, and then they're just gone. It's like, okay, and sometimes it's also something that I think makes me less anxious as well. And like, once it's written down in that file for me to do for Commit to 6, when I'm ready to open that file again in 2 weeks' time or whatever, then it'll be there and I know what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Notes app. Write everything in there.
That's a great one. Yeah, you beat me by a long.
And what I will
way.
say about that as well is that there's all these other apps like Notion and other ones that I can't remember, right? But I think the Notes app, because it links with your MacBook and because it's on your phone and because you use it all the time, makes so you've got one now.
No, keep going.
Well, I just think that's the best one to use because, sure, like some people are like, oh, I've got a Trello board or I've got this or this or this, and it's like, but it's so sticky and it's another app that you need to use that you're not gonna like keep on top of. I just threw a ring somewhere, but yeah, that's fine. You write something.
I'm writing something. I wrote interoperable because
interoperable. Yeah. Okay,
interoperable.
Yeah.
Interoperable.
Interoperable.
Yeah, that's right. I think. It's so important between your phone and your computer. That's the massive life hack of I want to copy something on my phone and I want to be able to
is life changing, right?
Although when it doesn't work,
hell.
Then you have to copy it from your phone into your Notes app, open your Notes app, copy it from there and paste it.
And sometimes that doesn't work.
And sometimes that does not work. So
yeah, it makes a big difference.
Them speaking to each other, your phone and your laptop, that's a huge life hack. And I used to be a PC man. I'm glad I'm not.
I think actually, and as much as MacBooks are very expensive, one of the best bits of money I've ever spent. Like the other week, I spilled coffee all over my MacBook. Honestly, I was pissed off for about 10 minutes, and then I was like, I need to buy one.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't not have one for like more than a few hours.
It's stressful. What did you drop?
I dropped this ring. Okay.
Right. I think that's
a good start.
A good start.
I hope people enjoyed that.
Fingers crossed. We're going to do it for 30 days anyway. So.
Oh, yeah, we have to do... No, we have to do...
Oh, yeah, what's the stat? You know the stat.
I can't remember the stat off the top of my head, but you know where it will be? In my notes.
Oh.
Yeah. But then you also have to remember what you need to put in to find it.
Or you could just ask ChatGPT.
See, I don't know if it would know that. Why don't you ask it?
Right,
but anyway, the stat is basically that like you need to do 20 podcast episodes to be in the top 1% of podcasters, because most people, 90% of people that start a podcast don't make it past episode 3. And of the people that do, 90% of those people don't make it past episode 20. So if you want to be like even that is the great example of just like you can actually be in the top 1% in so many things just by being consistent for only 30 days. Mm-hmm. Like that's wild.
And to that point, a lot of people have the idea of doing something, but then it's actually the doing it and then being consistent. That's the important part, not the idea. You might just think, that's a really simple idea. Like that lots of people will do that. Whereas it's actually the execution and the consistency that's the important part.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
Yeah, the hard part.
Like getting in shape is not hard.
Yeah.
I mean, like it is hard, but like it's simple. And people confuse like simplicity with easiness. Like it's simple. Like, you know, getting really good at podcasting is also quite simple. You just do a lot of it. You just do the reps, right? Same with like getting good at pull-ups. Just do the reps. Yeah.
That's a good note to finish on.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Oh, look at that. 40 minutes as well.